So again, welcome everybody to tonight's Zoom call, True North Caricature Carvers, and we'll get right into our agenda there in a moment. For those that haven't been on this Zoom call before, what Murray does is he kind of the guy with all of the buttons on the Zoom call, and he'll mute us all. And when we want to speak, we unmute, and you can unmute by just going to the little microphone and clicking on it on your like I just had to do. Or the other way to do it is to hold down, if you have a computer terminal in front of you or an iPad, just hold down the space bar for the period of time with which you want to speak, and we'll hear everything you say, okay? And the reason we do that, again, is that often because of background noise, as soon as your microphone picks up some background noise, a dog barking or something like that, it'll immediately go to your video and audio feed, and the person talking will no longer be seen or basically heard. Okay, so what we don't want to do is have that prohibit you from participating. So please unmute if you've got something to say, or hit that space bar and say what you have to say, because we really want this to be more of a discussion than sound like a lecture from John and Murray and I, okay? And for those that are new to carving, and you know, it might cross your mind that you don't necessarily have anything additive to the conversation as a tip or some advice, remember that questions are just as valuable as a comment. A question will take us down a road where we all learn something from it and open up that discussion. So don't be afraid to unmute by clicking that space bar or clicking that little microphone symbol in front of you, and have a say in tonight's meeting, okay? So welcome to everybody. I am going to open up the share screen here if I can, and everybody should be able to see that, I hope. Okay, everybody got that? John, give me a thumbs up if you can see that. There we go. Okay, so this is November 16th. And John Paul Andre and I are here to host tonight's meeting with Murray's assistants on the Zoom call. As you can see there, you can contact John Paul at any time or me at any time in either of those email addresses. And we'll get back to you with any questions that you might have, or anything that we can help you with. So don't be afraid to do that. We really want to hear from you. Discussion tonight, again, we'll, after a brief welcome here, we'll open it up for just any questions that anybody might have from previous sessions, or anything that occurred to you since our last sessions, or any comments that you have. We have a number of people have sent in a photograph of what's on their workbench, and we'll talk a little bit about those and just fire those up, and looking forward to everybody's comments on these. And, you know, we want to be supportive of each other. And supportive means, you know, some comments that that you see something that you like, that you'd like to try yourself, or even some really constructive comments around how that project could be improved based on what you've done in the past. So feel free to chip in on that conversation. John Paul, you and I are hoping that some of those projects that we see tonight will be entered into our December Christmas virtual show.
That's for sure.
And we'll say a little bit more about the virtual show at the tail end of the meeting, but I think everybody's pretty much got what we're doing there, and we're hoping that we can see your Santa Clauses and ornaments and elves and anything that you happen to make that's Christmas related, and send that in to us, so that our December What's on the Workbench is really going to be a virtual show and a little bit of a fun competition for us.
Yeah, everybody get it ready, and let's get the challenge out there, and let's get something entered. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I guess we're just asking people to try to enter those by December 7th, and that gives you and I, John Paul, a week and a little bit to take a look at them and put our own comments together on them, right? Lee Baldwin's on the line tonight, and Lee's done a terrific job of creating a Facebook page for the True North Caricature Carvers, and we're going to get Lee to talk a little bit about what that experience is like and what we can do with that Facebook page going forward. So that'll be a little bit of a discussion, and we'll ask Lee to at least kick that off for us. John LeMay is on the line tonight. I was teasing him about not having a video feed because he's had trouble with his phone getting a video feed, but we're going to see John and hear John tonight. And when John was at the, John and his wife Claire were at the Hamilton show, the woodworking show, and I didn't get a chance to see them. I wasn't there that particular day, but Murray was really taken back by a teaching model that John had created and that he has used in a variety of different sessions. And so we asked John if he'd come back tonight and just show us some photos of that teaching model and talk to us about how he uses that. And hopefully it'll give us some ideas how to do something similar or exactly the same, and use that in our own clubs and our own travels. So John's going to review that with us. John Paul is going to do a live demonstration for us on carving hair on a caricature carving. I'm personally not too sure how important hair is on a caricature carving. I just don't get it. But we'll let you do that anyway, John Paul. Murray's been busy doing a number of different things at Lang and visiting some other clubs, and he's got a few slides together, and he's going to talk a little bit about what he's doing, and I just called it Murray's Travels. Under tips, tricks, and techniques, of course, that's open to anyone. If you have something you want to share, I did bring something along with me, and it's a tool that I use, and I thought it'd be kind of interesting if each of us going forward take turns bringing a tool that has some value to us. We might not use it all the time, but when we do use it, we're glad we have it. And I have just one of those things that I'll share with you tonight, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so that's our agenda for tonight. Any comments or questions on the agenda? And are there any questions or comments in general? Anything we've talked about in the past, or anything you haven't understood, or things you want to mention right now? Be the time to do it.
Hit that space bar.
Hit that space bar. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's look at some of the projects that were sent in. So this is what's on the workbench piece. And we'll start off with, this is terrific, Eric. You got to talk about this. I just love this carving.
Well, I just finished these two little guys the other day, and they're based on a similar item that I purchased. I think I was in Switzerland. This particular place had a whole bunch of things. This is based on a Black Forest company in Germany that did these. Basically, I could have had a photo of the original, I guess, but these are two variations. They're very similar to the one that I bought. You just use a branch of reasonable thickness, maybe 2 inches across, that the bark is quite firm, isn't going to fall off if it dries up. And the original, I think they carved the face part in part, and then on the carved. They put it on the lathe, I believe, by the looks of it. Mine is all carved. There's nothing that special. I treated it with mineral oil, and the ears turned out okay. I was kind of worried about it because they used leather on theirs, and this is a kind of a vinyl, but it worked out okay. I figured out how to cut it, and so I can stick into fairly large holes that the ends of the ears go into. Anyway, I thought it was very cute. I want to send one to my sister in Florida. I try to send her some sort of Christmas thing every year, and likely my son will get one, and so on. So anyway, this is the closest to a caricature carving that I've done for quite a while now. Thanks.
Any comments for Eric?
I've seen something very similar. I think it was from the same company. I know it was from Germany, and I have it saved on my Facebook to future plans or whatever. But it's turned on the lathe, and it's a piggy bank, and it was really nice, and it's very similar to this here. But very nice job on these. I like these very much.
Yeah, really cute.
Well, I'm definitely going to make a couple of those. Those are great. My grandkids would love those.
The one on the right is the first one I made, and then I kind of goofed up in my mind with the one on the left because the snout is kind of thin. I prefer the first one with the bigger snout on it, but they're caricatures basically. So, but the one thing to be careful of, I ruined one. When you cut the mouth in on the bandsaw, make sure you don't cut one side too far up, which is what happened to me. You have to hold it a certain way so that you'll get an even smile out of it.
I think these are great. Now, in your email, when you sent this to me, you told me there's a little bit of a story with these little pigs as well.
Oh, yes. Well, I should have mentioned they're good luck pigs. And pigs in the last couple of centuries in Great Britain, Ireland, Europe, France, Germany, Austria, pigs were used, or the symbols of pigs or images of some sort were used as good luck charms. They're even they're put on cards and little figurines, and along with toadstools, the red fly agaric, the red top with white spots, that is a good luck thing, along with the ladybird beetles, the red little beetles with the white spots. Those as well are sort of good luck symbols for various reasons.
That's great, Eric. I really like that.
Well, I sent these along because there are items that we've been working on at the Outaouais Wood Carvers in our east and west clutches in Ottawa. I must admit the poppy there with the 5 petals, that's more of a generic poppy. I goofed up. I was thinking of doing the Flanders Field corn poppy, which only has 4 petals. This has 5. I like 5 because it was sort of more symmetrical somehow or other. But there are a number of poppies, and a 5-petal one is okay, but it's not the Remembrance Day one. The poinsettia on the right, John Bowser, he did all the cutouts for us, and this was my version of it. And our wood wizard for this month was some sort of Christmas carving. So I had this little cutout that John Bowser again did, and I finished them up the way you see on the left. That one is going to one of my grandsons, and I made another one with a taller hat. That's going to the other grandson. Anyway, they're very simple. I don't think I dare enter something like this in.
We lost your sound.
It's just so simple. So I know I did a small angel. I didn't send a picture of it, but when I take when it's 2 feet away from me, it's only about 6 inches high, 2 feet away. The imperfections and so on don't show up. You take a photo, you can zoom in. My God, you see all the fibers and everything. It's discouraging when you see it up close. So that for sure wouldn't be sent in.
Oh,
So,
I think you should send them in. We're definitely going to use this one for the December show. This is great. I think it's great. And send in the other one too. It'll just be fun to see them.
the
Now
eyes,
tell me, what are the eyes? Are the eyes beads? What are
the
the eyes?
eyes are the large pins with the large heads on it, and they come with different colors. This one, this one was black, and the other similar thing that I've made is going to be a blue-eyed one with a blue rim on the hat. But I like using these because in some other small heads, I've used these pins with the big round heads. It's easy. I just inset them a little bit, put in some glue, and there they are.
Those are great, Eric. Comments or questions for Eric?
Those look pretty good.
they're good ideas for beginners too.
Yeah, this would be great for your work at the Kingston Club, Fred. Okay, Murray, you sent in, I got a couple slides for you here.
This is my first time of doing a yad, Y-A-D. And the picture on the left-hand side is a birch pole piece that I took made the carving from. The young adult contacted me on this. He had seen the wands that I'd carved and wondered if I would be willing to carve a yad. And yad is the pointer that is used in a synagogue when they bring the scroll out to read from it, from the Torah. And one of the reasons you have a yad is that your finger doesn't touch the text. In some cases, the parchment has a real ink on it, and the finger would cause the text to smear or smudge, or with time, the oil from the finger would make a mess of it and deteriorate. So the pointer is used to point at the letter when you're reading. In a synagogue, when we had the opportunity to go to one just a year or so back, we went to a Saturday morning session, and some of our people complained in the church about having an hour service or an hour and a half service. The synagogue service lasts for 4 hours. And during that 4-hour time, they had a bar mitzvah. The young fellow up front had his yad in his hand, and he was pointing at the text as he read it. Now, if you take the next slide, I think it is a little bit closer up to show some other. At the end of the yad is a hand with a small finger on it, the forefinger pointing, and that's the part that touches the text or points to the text. It also is the way my grandfather used to read. He would hold his book open and his finger would follow the text, so it kept him going. So it's kind of a follow-up on that, but also this was kind of a joy. Now, you'll notice on the left-hand side of that picture, there's acorns in there with small oak leaves. Those were not carved inside of there. I had to carve them separately and put it in. You saw in the last picture, I was testing just to go back a minute, Mark, on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you see the right-hand side. It's a small acorn. These things are only about maybe a ½ inch. And I cut paper leaves out to see if I get the proportion size. Go back to the other one now. What happens in the birch is my first time to carve a birch piece. I knew that heartwood could be hard. And so, by the way, just to back up on it, the pole that this is taken from, when this young fellow was married, these birch poles were part of the marriage ceremony, holding up some sort of a tent or something over them. And so in the bottom of that left-hand picture, you'll see the heartwood starting to show up. As I tapered it more, the heartwood came out, and it is harder, that part, definitely, because the pole's dry. So that's been a new adventure for me, moving from Harry Potter wands to yads now. And there is no patterns for yads anywhere except a million different kinds. That's it.
Did you know what a yad was before you chatted with this person?
I had no clue what a yad was, but I sure know lots about a yad now.
Yeah, well, that's good.
If you go to all things Google and all things searching, it's amazing the story you get about these. Now, the other part about touching the text, I mentioned there that they don't want you to soil the Torah when it's being unrolled. And there's also the fact that if you touch the text, you're unholy, you're not clean, and it could cause a problem there just for that reason. So it's a spiritual application to that too. So it was kind of a neat part. So who knows? I do sell carvings, and I may end up in the yad business.
Who knows?
Murray, did you put any oil on it? I'm assuming you wouldn't want to do that, would you, if you're going to touch text with it?
Tell me that again, the question?
You didn't put any oil on your yad, did you? I would imagine that wouldn't be a good idea.
No, the best to do on this was a satin finish, Rust-Oleum 2X, a satin finish. It dries in 10 seconds. And so you do a real light coats and do a couple of them, but then I rub it with the side of a steel shank of a small screwdriver or a center punch. That works real good. And as you do that, that takes the spray does cause the fibers of the wood to stand up, And that rubbing with that steel is equivalent to about a 6,000 grit sandpaper. It brings out just a real nice sheen to it when it's finished. Very, very smooth.
Okay, any questions for Murray or any comments?
They'd be a great item to sell at a yard sale.
It depends what section of Toronto you live in.
No, but I was thinking the name, what you called it, the yad. You could sell it in a yard sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that's Nova Scotian humor.
Sorry, couldn't resist.
That harbor humor.
Yeah, the down east humor.
If you have a Jew on that street, there might just be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, yard sale. Okay, thank you, Murray. All right, John Paul, I have 3 slides here.
Yes. Yeah, I've been doing some ornaments. I got a craft sale Saturday. There's a few of my Grinches. Little I think they're about 3-inch disc that I drew it out and then wood burned the Grinch. Then I painted them all up.
Your painting is so good, they look like a sphere, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I started with the darker. Well, I wet them, right? My technique, I wet them all and I have a dark blue on the outside and then with a white in the middle and touching the blue, and it blends it all in as one.
Yeah, it really looks smart.
There's a couple more, yeah, a couple more guys. Same little snowflakes and snow on the thicker snow on the heads of the caricatures of the Grinch.
So,
The
John
holders.
Paul, what do you sell those for?
Those ones are $30.
What are the holders that they're in?
That's just I just place it on my book holder while I took a picture of it. They're on for a tree, so they got a hook and everything on them.
But these here 2 pieces aren't holders, are they, John? That's carved right into the.
That's carved, yeah. That's carved
Yeah.
all around.
Is that what you meant, Eric?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I carved it all the way around. Just clean off the saw marks basically. And the next picture is I think there's close to 80 some ornaments I got there, ready for the sale.
So say again what this sale is. This is a pretty big event, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a Christmas sale for Spring Hill here. We have 65 vendors, and I'm one of them. And it goes like 6 hours, and it's crazy. There's like 800 people go through
Wow.
in 6
What-
hours.
What's the cost of setting up a table or,
It was
an
$20
area?
bucks. It was $20 a table.
That's nothing.
No. And I made the stand there. I don't have a picture of the stand, the front of it, but it's a North Pole sign. And I got a few other things I want to sell. I got some whales and different carvings and stuff that I'm going to sell. More wood. Buy some more wood.
Buy more wood. Nice work. Any questions or comments? Additional questions or comments for John? Okay, thanks, JP.
I think you've done a wonderful
good,
job. They
John.
look
Looks good.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a good variety of carvings, and it was fun.
Really nice.
I'm glad it's done.
Yeah. Okay, Jacques, are you on the line tonight?
Yes. Hi,
Hi.
everyone.
Hi, Jacques.
Hi. Yeah, that's something that was on my bench for many, many years. It's based on an article that was in Carving Illustrated, I believe. And I'm a bit disappointed with the painting. The painting I used solid color because I started painting a long time ago, and I since learned from listening to Mark and other people on this that we should dilute them and use many layers of highly diluted paint to see the wood grain. So
Mhm.
if I would redo it, I would paint it differently.
It looks nice though. It looks really
Mm.
good.
Thank you.
So we'll
That's how
put
we
this
learn.
in.
Just
Sorry, JP, go ahead.
yeah, that's how we learn. Just practicing
Yes.
and do more and more, and you'll get your the way you want it. You know, like a lot of the thinner paint, you can see the wood grain through it.
Yeah,
And
that's what I wish I did, but I've learned. Yes. Yeah.
oh yeah, that's no problem. That's been no big deal. Just make another one.
Yeah.
So something you still could do, Jacques, if you wanted to, is dry brush over the whole thing. And so that's one of those brushes that look like a woman's makeup brush. They're in the art world, they're called mop brushes. And
Okay.
you can put a different color, a slightly different color, maybe a beige or something, and load that brush up, and then take all of the paint off of the brush with paper towel, such that if you fan it past your hand, you'll hardly leave anything on your hand. And then you fan all over your carving, and that'll give you the other dimension that you were wishing you had done earlier with the washes. It'll just pick up all the highest points on all of your carved pieces, and it'll just give it another dimension, and you'll see that the carving kind of pops out a little bit more.
Okay.
Might be something to consider.
Yeah, what color would you do that with?
Well, I don't know, John. What do you think?
Well, I was just bringing an ornament over, like but whatever. What I do is whenever I paint, whatever color you use, I always add for the highlight. I add a little bit of white to highlight that, like the top part of the brim of the hat. Say if that blue, I would highlight a little bit of with white and the blue, and just change it up a little bit. Just highlight the top, and at the bottom, add a darker color or a black, and make a shade shadow.
Okay.
So you want to come to my screen, Mark?
Yeah, you're gonna have to say something, John.
You want to look at my screen, Mark?
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I think everybody individually has to highlight your screen. Oh, wait, I know what you're asking me to do now. You're asking me to stop sharing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like for this guy here, the base color is green for the Grinch. Then I added a little bit of yellow to that green, and I got a little bit of highlight on that green. That's my highlight, all that. And on the sides, like around the eyes, around the edges, around the neck, I add a little bit of darker color, a little bit of black to that green, the same green, and I got some shadow. So now it looks like it's popping off of the,
Yeah,
but
it
it's
does.
flat. It's just flat.
Yeah.
But it looks three-dimensional.
Okay, and you do that on the dry paint. Once the base color is dry, you add the new layer.
Well, I don't dry it.
No, but I mean, it's not wet on wet.
It's a wet on wet. I do.
Okay, it is wet on wet. Okay, because
so John, maybe what you want to suggest to Jacques, given that his carving's already painted and everything's dry, how could he now add those shadows?
Well, that same blue color that he's got around his rim, I would take that same color, add a little bit of white, and dry brush the top of it. You know, the top, and I could dry brush this one. You know, but at the time I was wet on wet, but I could add a little more yellow here. You know, a little lighter color, lighter green, or I can make it a little bit darker on the edges here. So I would just take that same color and the blue and add a little bit of white to it, and dry brush the top, and then separate another little bit of blue, a little bit of black, and dry brush the bottom, so it gives you the roundness.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Any additional comments or questions for Jacques?
I think it's a tremendous design. Happy snowman. And the colors are really not the green and red that you'll always see. But I love the yellow with the blue. That's great.
And the addition of the little birds too is nice, isn't it? Okay, Lee, you're on the line. I've got a couple slides for you here.
Yeah, so I just from last Christmas I made a disgruntled elf, and then this year I keep making some more disgruntled North Pole workers.
Do you
Uh,
know what they're angry about, or just in general?
I don't know, maybe just getting paid in cookies. I don't know. Maybe that's, but no, I don't know. I just I got to make something Christmassy, so then but this is just how they end up turning out, kind of. This guy's a little disgruntled looking. The other guy's a little bit happier. But
It's just going back to that one for a minute, Mark. It's kind of on my screen looks like he needs some front teeth.
oh, what? Yeah, he's got a big just two front teeth for Christmas, maybe.
And that's a Christmas dog from long, long ago.
Yeah, but I just wood burn them, and then I do some wet on what my white that I got because I had to get a new white. It it goes on. It's almost translucent until it dries, and so it's kind of a little bit weird painting it. But dollar store white, so. And then I got this guy too, but he kind of just looks like he's a little suspicious or apprehensive of something. Yeah.
Very good.
All your elves have a backstory.
Yeah, a little bit. So,
These are really good. I like them.
thank you.
Additional comments, questions for Lee?
What'd you
I
use for the
like the
skin
body
color, Lee?
positions there. The
Oh,
way he's
so
got
this-
them leaning, I think they look great that way. Kind of good.
the skin color is actually just the actual wood. I put on what is it, cutting board oil. So I'll do any of the skin with just only cutting board oil, and then I find it kind of darkens the wood enough to give it like a skin tone, but it also
Yep.
pulls out the green.
Yeah, that's basically what I do too.
Hmm.
Looks good.
Very good. Thanks, Lee.
No problem.
And Mr. Smith finished his hockey player. You have to come off mute, Wayne.
No, I'm off mute. I just didn't have anything to say. As strange as that may seem.
Okay, go back on mute, Wayne.
Yeah, sometimes
Life's got to push his button.
So
Go ahead,
Wayne,
Mark.
for your next one, you're gonna have to put a neck protector on that.
Yes, I see. Yeah.
Right.
Geez, that's kind of unfortunate. I mean, I'm sure that was an accident, but I saw on the news here, I think yesterday, they've actually charged the other player with, I don't know if it's attempted murder, manslaughter, whatever the equivalent is in
It was
England.
manslaughter.
Good grief.
Manslaughter, yeah, geez, I mean, they get doing things like that. Nobody's going to dare do anything but even crochet, and you're going to have to wear eye protection or something. No, I don't know. No, this was sort of a request. I don't, as a rule, take requests because I find if I do, I start worrying, is this going to be good enough? Is this what he wants? You know, sort of thing. And then the fun just drains right out of it. So, and when the fun drains out of something, you can't do a good job anyway. So, but anyway, this guy here, I did relent, and he wanted a Bobby Orr, and I guess that's showing our age. But anyway, this was my attempt at that, and I was going to paint the name across his shoulders as it would have been on his uniform, but I blocked it out, and it just, I don't know, it just seemed too cluttered. So anyway, I just went with his number, and it's gone to its new home. The guy's happy with it, and I'm happy with what I got out of it. So anyway,
Very good.
Very good. Nice paint job, Wayne.
Really nice.
It's fun, and that's all freehand too. I thought about trying to take things off the internet and stuff, but I did. I looked at pictures, of course, but
Here's a technical question here in that I used to play goal at one stage. How does Bobby Orr carry a goalie stick?
well, if you were able to zoom in on that very closely, that's not really a goalie stick. That's a regulation stick, and he broke it. and times being tough, he couldn't afford a new one, so he had to put a splint on it. And the owner of this particular carving now, he owns a fish processing plant, and down here we add a lot of there's salt fish, we call it, and it's preserved that way. And if you look real close, those are the remnants of the boxes that they were packed in a few years ago. And this one here says boneless salt cod, that you can see a little bit of the wording underneath the tape. And on the other side, it's salt pollock. And that was just sort of personalizing it for the guy that owned the fish processing plant. But
It had to be from the East Coast.
oh yeah, you got to be a maritimer to know that. Just as a matter of saying, that stick, I carve it. It's all one piece, but then when I get ready to assemble everything, I cut it right where his hand is and fit it from both ends. So it starts out one piece, but when I assemble it, it goes in two pieces. So other than that,
You find that easier, Wayne, to fit the stick in the hand?
yeah,
In two
well,
pieces?
for one reason, see on the top end of the handle, I've simulated a ball of tape that they sometimes put on there. Well, that wouldn't pass through. You'd have to have a big hole in the hand to
Yeah.
pass it through. So and I do the same with the guns when I do my South Shore Rednecks. I carve the rifle, shotgun, or whatever it is, all in one piece. Carve it as realistic as I can, and then I hold it up to where it would be in his hand, cut it in half, and with little dowels on the end of it, and it works out good. So
Very
and
good.
that way,
Really nice carving. You want to send that picture to Bobby Orr? He'd love it.
yeah, he might.
I think he would. I think he would.
He might sue me, and I can't afford that.
Well, that could happen. That could happen.
Just to interrupt here for a minute, this is there's a backstory to this Wayne Smith guy, and also to Mark Sheridan. I found out when I write in this article. I think you two have to share what that backstory is.
Well, we're not relation to each other. No way. No, I'm not relation to him. He's not relation to me.
The Smith Sheridan clan.
Yeah. Just so happens that our wives were second cousins, I think, aren't they?
I think so. Yeah.
We never heard tell of each other until I joined True North Caricature Carvers. So.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah.
It is,
And
yeah.
in fact, Wayne lives across the street from the house where Peggy's grandpa lived.
Yeah.
Crazy. Huh?
Yeah.
I'd just like to ask Wayne, you said you did the painting freehand. Does that mean only paintbrush? Because I was wondering that we've had some discussion here at our club about the acrylic paint pens that are available in order to do fine lines and to do checkerboard designs and so on. Is your painting, for instance, on the chest, that's just done with a brush?
Yes. Yeah. Everything. Dollar store paint, and I got a few brushes out of Amazon, but I mean they're not terribly expensive. They're reasonably good brushes, but not I don't think a professional artist would use them. But no, I've tried pens. I've got some here, and never had real good luck with them. I found that they tend to bleed in the basswood, or for me they did. Maybe I was doing something wrong. I'm not sure, but no, those are, and like I would burn around, for example, the Boston logo, right? I did draw the circle with a compass, like, so I got it reasonably round, but then the rest, I draw it with a pencil first, then I score it lightly with a knife, and then I burn it. And that gives it looks like it might have been a pen, I suppose, but that's actually that's a fine wood burning line. And anywhere one color joins another, anywhere like the yellow joins the black or the white or whatever, I always burn a line between the two colors, so to avoid bleeding. Usually when I paint, the paint is quite thin. I water it down, probably 50-50 or so.
Well, this turned out beautiful. Thank you, Wayne.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, I did a few more Christmas bells in the last couple of weeks, I guess, and Paul wanted to put up the Christmas tree, so it was a good background to hang these little bells on. So these things are about 1.5 inches in diameter, the bell itself. Again, I start on a lathe. I make this little flange, and I make the handle. This ribbon is added separately. By making that flange and the handle, make sure that all the carving I do follows a concentric line. So here's one with a little candy cane in his mouth. That's just the white line from electrical wiring. The bow's kind of fun. You have to fill it in place, but it kind of adds to the fun a little bit, and a couple of others. So that's my effort on Christmas ornaments so far.
Nice.
Any questions? This is one that we have with the True North Caricature Carvers on a YouTube video. I think it's a 12-minute video or something. And so if you want to make one, just watch that video. They're a lot of fun to make. And it's a really good practice for making caricature faces as well. Okay, Larry, I think I saw you sign on. Did we see Larry sign on? I just want to give it a minute in case he's having some audio troubles. No, I guess not. Anyways, a nice bear here he's done for an individual who had a little bit of an experience with a bear. So not quite a caricature, but a really well done figure of a bear, an angry bear.
Nice
Also,
thick fur.
yeah. Also did some little glasses, yeah, that he puts around. They're really cute. Tom, you're on the line tonight.
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me?
Yep,
Yep.
perfectly.
Good. So I keep it pretty simple, but I enjoy doing Christmas ornaments. So I got a list of maybe 20, 25 relatives and friends that I try to accommodate every Christmas. And I try to come up with different patterns every year. But I showed this one because it's the same pattern, but it's done in different sizes. It's done in 3 different ways. The one on the left is just a Santa guy glued to a little sleigh that I made. The one in the center is just a Christmas tree ornament, but the one on the right is a brooch. So different ways of presenting the same guy.
It's really cute. So what did you do here with the sleigh, Tom?
I just carved it out. It got the 2 runners, and there's underneath him is a 2 pieces of wood going across the sleigh, same as the small spindle up at the top. Then I glued him to the cross pieces.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, so that's the kind of stuff that I do. I try to come up with different patterns every year, and so far I've been successful. And friends, everybody enjoys getting them. So
I guess so.
Makes it more fun doing it.
Very nice. Any questions or comments for Tom? Mike Hall asked a question about the bows that I put on the little bells. Those are wooden. He asked if they're fabric or wood. Those are wooden, and I'll just go back to here. So it's kind of critical that when you make this, and you should try to make them because they're fun, the grain of the wood should go in this direction here. Otherwise, as you carve this, it gets so thin it just snaps in two. But that's a wood bowl. Okay, Mike, I saw you on the line.
That's right. Yeah, this little pair of birds here represents one of our Thunder Bay Carvers club meeting projects. We've got Les Barrow, who was the founder of our club, out to do the instruction on this. And so you see, he starts with the loon on the right, and then if you just leave the bill on the blank cutout a little wider, you can end up with this mallard or whatever species you'd like, actually, because they're a little bit like caricatures of the originals, but they're kind of fun and similar to those mice and gnomes with their beards hanging over edges, and it's a shelf sitter with a twist with the noses sticking down as if they're looking for a fish or something.
I missed it if you mentioned how big these things are.
Yeah, they're from the end of the beak to the tail. It'd be about 4.5 inches long. So yeah, I guess you can't tell from the picture, but the eyes on the right hand side, the loon's eyes are actually carved, so really carefully and made it shiny and so on. The other one though is actual bird eyes. It sort of wasn't worth it. I might as well use one of those pins that one of the earlier guests was using for it. But anyway, and just use some stains on the duck rather than acrylics. But most of this is acrylic.
Turned out nice.
Now this guy is this little Santa Claus with the bird. This was an experiment. I really enjoy carving cottonwood bark. And I thought, well, is there a way to use the outer bark in a Santa figure? And I thought kind of like an old world Santa kind of concept, kind of a deal. And so the part that's original is the robe and the trim on the robe. His left arm holding the bird, that's the outer bark. And then up on the top, his pom-pom at the top. On the front is the original exterior bark. And then of course the rest is all carved in. And the bird is attached separately. By good luck, I just picked another scrap of cottonwood bark I had kicking around. It happened when it got to clear finish to be a different color. So that kind of was just a lucky happenstance. And that guy's just glued on the top of his arm there to make it look like he's holding the bird. So it was kind of fun. And then so I just used a dry brush technique on the exterior bark to make the trim and so on pop out better. And then in places where I actually had to have carved inner bark, I tried to simulate how the outer bark looked by making it really rough and kind of irregular, and then use the dry brush again to kind of make it flow. Since these pictures, I realized, it's a really good idea that actually one of my wife's watercolor teachers said is to take your paintings and put them up when they're not really quite finished, and leave it up maybe for even a week or two, and keep looking back at it, and take it, and you kind of get to see it with a new eye. And I realized that the beard in particular, and partly his hair, wasn't really quite bright enough. And so since these pictures, actually made it a little bit better by highlighting that. And I also did an alteration to the bird as well. So, sometimes you just have something sitting there where you can see it when you go by. And after a while, you start to say, here's something I can do better. So anyway, this was an interesting experiment. It gives you another way of getting away from whimsical bark houses and from, various wood spirit faces that we usually do with bark.
Very nice. I really like that.
Yeah, I like it too.
Thank you.
Questions or comments for Mike? Okay, well, thanks everybody for sending those in. There's a number of them that we're certainly going to include in our December view of things, John. That are,
Yeah, let's get more people out there.
Yeah,
more people, more entries.
That's good. Thank you for those. Okay, I'm just going to stop the share here, and we'll see each other's bright faces again. Lee, why don't you say a few words now about what you've done on Facebook, how that's going, and maybe what we could be doing.
So I think it's been going pretty good. We've had a few weird profiles, but we're up to almost 700 people now. So well, almost 700. I think we're at like 670 or something. So and then but it's pretty good. I'd like to actually have more
Go wave to him.
Participation in people. Say hi, Curtis. Okay, no,
Hi,
go slow.
Curtis.
Uh, yeah. So but we get quite a good lot of some really cool wood carvings that pop up on there. But we have quite a few members, but not as many like participants in the Facebook pages. I'd like to see, because I'd like to actually see like all of these carvings on the Facebook page, and then you could actually kind of have preemptive questions about them, perhaps, or
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
Mhm. I like the fact that you know, you continually put on a little blurb that says if you want to really be part of the Zoom calls, contact Mark with your email and he'll get you on the distribution. That's important, because if we have like 680 people on Facebook, we have about 180 on our distribution list for the Zoom call. So it'd be nice to tap into some of those people you're attracting into the Facebook page.
There's a really is really cool this morning. It's a bear sitting on top of a chunk of ice, and
Yeah.
he's fishing, and there's a pike underneath. And I was in awe when I saw that, because it's just the level. So I don't know. I'd like to have that guy on here and maybe get to ask him some questions about how he did that. And
Yeah. Yeah, you should just feel comfortable just contacting the guy and just suggesting,
Yeah.
you know, on an individual basis to join us on the Zoom calls, because we'd love to see those carvings. I think that fella was from Alaska.
Yeah, sometimes they're from all over. Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I post in several different wood carving groups usually. So
Mhm.
the contact Mark this Thursday or whatever. And yeah,
Oh, that's really
but
good.
it has been generating quite a bit of people, at least. So yeah,
That's really good work. Thanks for doing that for us, Lee.
Yeah, thanks, Lee.
no problem. No problem. Bye. You say hi. Okay, there you go.
There we go. Okay, John, why don't you take over here, and I'll go through these slides as you speak to them. I usually screw poor John up with the order of these slides, so I hope I've got them right here. If not, I'll just bounce around where you tell me to go with the slide deck, okay?
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Mark. So, so basically, I've created this teaching tool that I use for doing faces, and I find that it helps a lot with teaching how to do a caricature face. I use all the lines and everything, so it really helps people understand the dimensions of faces and how they change from caricature to caricature. These faces that you see are approximately 2¼ inches high, and I find that most caricatures that I do, the faces are approximately 2¼ or a little bit less. So that's the scale that I tend to use a lot for faces. You go to the next slide. That's the type of that I learned from originally, is how to make faces, and it's a really good tool to use. It's just a couple of problems that I have with it. Is that one of the things is that it's twice the size of a normal head. So these measure just over 4 inches, and so it's a lot easier to carve a face if you're using a 4-inch block compared to a 2-inch block. So using the 2-inch block makes it simpler. And the second issue is that this particular way of carving a face, you see the nose is on the corner of a block, and how often do we actually have a block like that on top of a caricature that we're carving? We usually tend to have a square piece on top of a caricature where we carve the head. So I just think that this system was not a good system for me, and for years I tried to carve caricature heads with that. So a few years later, that's when I developed the next slide. So basically, I have the first block that you see, it's it's about an inch and a half by an inch and a half, and the head is about 2¼ inches long. And I add about an inch to the bottom of it for the throat and the start of the shoulders. So what you do is, what I do is I cut a groove on the lower part there. So for the shoulders, I do that on the bandsaw. And then after that, everything's by knife. So I draw a center line.
Sock matching challenge.
Pardon me?
Who's gonna play?
You want to mute, Lee.
Okay, so I draw a center line, and then on the top, I join the lines together. So all four sides get the center line. And then on the top, I join the lines together, and I draw a circle around that. So the second block, then I carve the entire block into a cylinder up to the center lines. So all the way around the whole block, I cut sort of a round circle. And then I draw the dimensional lines. So division lines, I should say. So, and that's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. And then above the top third, you draw the lines for either your hat or your hair, depending on what it is. So I use these lines to determine where the nose is going. So the upper part, the top line is the top of the eye, and then the nose starts there, and then the bottom line is where the bottom of the nose would be. So that's what I use for my lines, and then you can't see it on this picture, but then I draw the ear box on the side, and the ear box goes in behind on the side, behind the center line that I drew on the sides. And it takes up that whole quarter, that whole 1/3 part in the center.
Right in here.
Then the next block, no, sorry, go back again. So the third block that you see there, so there I've carved away a straight line from the front center to the back center, to the side center. And if you understand what I mean by that, and then it goes right up to that hairline or the hat line, whatever you decide to do there. I try to leave about an 1/8 of an inch flat on the very front, and to allow for a nose that's kind of thick at the front. And then I redraw the division lines again and draw the shape of the face. So the lines that you see coming down from the hairline, it comes down a bit of an angle. That's it there. So I draw that shape, and then I go to the next block. So the next slide.
Yeah, so John, I'll just, it's hard
Yep.
to see in this picture, but you were saying you leave an 1/8 of an inch so for the breadth of the nose, so it's really from here to here.
All the way up, all the way up and
Yeah,
down.
yeah, but you leave a flat along here
That's
to the
correct.
tune of about an 1/8 of an inch, so that when you do the nose, you have a little bit of meat there to work with. Okay.
That's right. Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. I can't love to be able to do that on my end, but
Yeah.
so then the fourth block, I carve out the face shape. So the line that we drew down, so now I carve that out, and I cut out the ear block. So I don't know if you can point that out, Mark, the ear block right there. So that's cut all the way around the front, the back, and the bottom. Okay. And then at this point, you're starting to see the jawline there. So then I draw the upper nose lines. So at the very top, underneath the hairline, no, the other block, that one there, I draw those lines in. And then I draw the lines for the mouth and the chin. So the two lines would be underneath the nose there. I draw those two lines. So then I go to the next block next to it, and I carve out. So, so number 5 there, that's it. So I carved that out. So just straight cuts again. Just follow those draw lines that I had. And then I cut a straight cut across the chin. Redraw, and then I redraw the center lines again. Center lines are really important when you're drawing a face, I think. And then I draw the draw line right from the ear. So again, this picture is a little bit hard to see, but from the ear there, that's it right there. And I come down and I draw the draw line. So on the next block next to it, I cut out that jaw line, and I start rounding off the face at this point. And then you see I drew two big circles there, and that's for the eye sockets there. The whole entire eye space. I shouldn't say the eye socket, but the whole space for the eye. So next to that, the last block on this slide, I gouge out the eye area, and I start forming the nose. So I use a small gouge on each side of the nose there, and you can see the nose is starting to come out. And next slide. So this slide on this block here, I start shaping your nose. So now I carve away the nose, and I carve away the laugh lines from the nose, and I start carving the mouth. Then I divide the face into 5 sections across. So you see the little lines on the forehead there.
Mm-hmm.
So I divide that into 5 sections, and so the second section and the 4th section is where I would draw the eyes below. So proportionally, that's what they say is a general face is divided by 5 going across. And then I draw the eye, and then the next block I carve out the eyes. And the next I guess, yeah, and then I start carving out the ears and start doing a little bit more of the details. On the next slide, you see 4 finished faces there. Excuse me. They all went through this exact process, and they all have different faces. The only difference is where I would put my division lines. So on the very first one, that would be the one that I had for the exact division lines that I saw earlier. The one next to it, I made the mouth and the jaw line a lot longer, so the division line would have been a little bit higher and a little bit smaller nose. On the one next to that one is I wanted a really, really small mouth on that one. So again, I just draw them smaller as I go along. So you follow the same process all the way through, but you might change a little bit where you put your division lines, just so that depending on the face that you want to get to at the very end. I find it's a very helpful tool. And I've been teaching a few people on how to use faces using this tool, and it's been very helpful. And then the next slide. Basically, that's the whole tool that I have there. And presentations. So. Hello?
Yeah.
Yep.
Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions or comments for John?
That looks
I,
good. That'll be helpful.
I'm very impressed with this, John. Most carvers can't do faces. I have to admit I'm one of them. This is a pretty good process. I wouldn't mind buying something like that. I tried to make some notes. Hopefully, I can reach out if I have an issue.
Oh, for sure. I'd be happy to answer any questions later on, for sure.
Yeah, my 2 cents worth, John, is like everything you said really important in my mind in creating a face. The two things that really stand out to me that are the most important, and you mentioned it several times, is the notion of the center lines. I'm like you, I'm always drawing in those center lines. That to me is critically important to get a face right, is to always have those center lines and not carve them out. So you know that you've got symmetry going through. The other critically important thing that you mentioned several times is this notion about the size of you called it the eye space or the eye socket. The eye space is a better description, and how you gouge that out and how deep you have to go. That to me is what really makes a caricature carving. If you can do those two things, get it symmetrical around the center line, and do a really good job of getting real deep eye spaces, you're well on the way.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on. Looks good. Thanks for sharing.
Well done.
Oh, you're
Thanks very
welcome.
much. Thanks, John.
My pleasure.
Okay, John Paul, I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop share here, and then you're it for tag.
All right. Gonna work on some hair today. I don't know. Here's some examples of beards.
John, I'm just going to interject for a second, just to remind people that if you take a look at John's small picture here, and you click the 3 dots beside it or up in the right hand corner, you can pin John, and it makes John full screen. Okay, I can't do that for you. You have to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just here's a couple examples before I carve one. But when I do a beard or hair or anything like that, there's no straight line. Like I don't know if you can see that, but I always dig down first. I'll show you in a minute how I carve it, but I always make it fluffy looking. And this line right around here, it's not straight. I bring it in a little bit and curl it. It's all like that. See, if you can see it better there. Yeah, there's one example, and there's another guy here. So you can see it better, but it's nice, not a straight line. It's all in and out, in and out. And I always dig down first before I even start to put the lines in. I carve this in a bit. And one more example here, another little elf. Look at the shape here. Goes in and out, the mustache. Like the front here it's like that. And as I find a lot of people just do straight lines here and straight down. I always like putting some flow into my lines. So I'll put this guy back. And there's one I started today, a little carving I started today. So what I do, once I get this part, getting ready to put the hair in or the beard in, I'll take my knife and I'll start shaping that beard before you even have the detail. And see, there's a straight line here on both sides. I'm gonna curl that in. Let's take some shape, make some shape to that. And now I got some nice flow lines here. Maybe start a little bit more, a little bit deeper here. And don't make it the exact same. Don't make it across, you know, this line's gotta be the same on this side. It's all like beards are flowing, hair is flowing. So I go across here, maybe a little bit more over here. And I got some good flow lines going. Now I'll take my pencil and I'll draw some flow lines. So I'll keep it. I'm not gonna go straight down. I'm gonna go with the shapes that I've carved in there. I'm gonna go like here, then there, then there. And just follow it along like that, all the way around. And the mustache later, but that's going to do the beard today. What I do I'm going to go right on that line, straight on that line, the pencil line. I'm going to go straight down, follow that all the way around. And I'm going to carve on either side of that line. So either side of that cut. So I'm going to take my knife. If you can see that, maybe just go this way. See if I can put it down better. Yeah. So on that cut line, I'm going to go on both sides, cut a little V cut all the way around. And follow that straight cut. Then I'll go on this side of it. Just a 1/8 of an inch V cut. On both sides. That should just pop out. Now I'll do the same and take another little cut here, follow that line. We're not going to go straight down. We're going to follow that pencil line. And go on both sides of that first cut, initial cut. And make a V cut on both sides. You can see how it's coming along already real quick. Carry on here, just follow that along. Nothing in your body is straight. So you want to get some flow going on your arms, like the shape of your hands. There's nothing straight. It's all, you know, you don't want stovepipes. Everything's got shape to it. So you want to do the same with your hair. Go on that side of it. Pop that out.
Always just use a knife, or do you ever use a V tool?
No, I don't. I just use knives. Yeah. I guess you could use a V tool, but I just use knives. This is how I do it. So, and I get the same technique or same look with a V tool or the knife by doing it this way.
Well, to your earlier point too, John, is that you're not looking for real uniformity, right? And the V tool might give you something like a real uniform channel. This gives you a little life to it, and it's a little bit different on one side of the cut than the other, you know.
Mm-hmm. So, and once I get that part done, and then where there's that little see that little curve here, I'll go back and I'll just emphasize that little curve a bit more, and just You see that? And then there's another one over here. Let's go back and make it even curlier. And there's one over here, make it a little bit more. You can see that?
Mhm.
And then I'll carry on, do the whole thing like that. And I'll just add, add more shapes to that. And go with this one here. Carve on both sides of that first cut. See the nice flowing lines? Makes nice and fluffy looking. That one ready. And then when you come to the side, let's do this one up here. I'll go both sides of that line. And then when it comes right to the edge, and I cut that right in. So you'll see a layer there. Let's do another one. A little bit closer. And now right where that edge is, where the side is, now cut that right deep. And it'll give me a nice, there's no straight cut there. Nope.
You need to hold, John, you need to hold that down a little
Yep.
lower. Just
Yeah.
hold it down. Yeah, that's good like that.
You see how this shape here goes in and out. So I cut that in. I can even cut even more. It's nothing straight. Like I could keep it like this, but looks a little boring. So I'll go way around. And I'll make that shape all the way around. You see that? And just carry on. Just go all the way around. And sometimes I'll take an extra scoop out of there. Make it even look even curlier here. And you do the same thing for the hair. You can do the exact same thing with the mustache. So let's just do a mustache here, half the mustache. Do my flow lines. Right down, right to the bottom. Nothing
A little
straight.
lower there, John Paul.
Oh, sorry. And then I'll go back here. Let me see here. And I'll go on both sides of that cut mark. Sorry. And then I'll go over here. Both sides of that line again. Let's do this whole thing first. I'll do that and I'll show you the edge. A lot harder to carve it this way. I'm trying to show you. See that? Compared to that side, nice and flat, but look at that, looks like it's really flowing into the beard. Let me do one more cut here.
Yeah, we'll probably wrap up in 5, John.
Okay. Now, for the mustache here, right at the end of the mustache, right there, where the hair is done, I put a little V cut there, a little cut there to separate the two hairs. And then the next one, I'll put in a little more cut. It's a little notch at the bottom. And then this one. You see how that looks?
That looks great.
Yeah. So any questions? That's how I cut hair and beards and
John, I guess like you've shown some pretty long strands there in the beard, but you could also start one halfway down as well, right? To make it.
oh yeah.
Yeah, you could do that as well, right? Yeah.
I use the same technique on the eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
You see, no, this one's better here. This little guy. Just the same thing. I draw a line, or even this one's better.
Mm-hmm.
Draw a line up and then cut it on both sides, and then shape it on the bottom like that. Oop. So it looks like individual hairs, are pronounced. So that's anybody got any questions or comments?
That's a
Everybody
pretty
got
good
it?
demo. Thank you very much for that. It's actually
welcome.
a good way to do it.
Yeah, just practice and just think of never have a straight line, never always have it lots of shape. Make a lot of really make it interesting, right?
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
And Marie, why don't you take the last few minutes here and talk to us about these several slides.
This was a great time for us to, my wife and I, to go down to Sarnia and take part in this Sarnia's club meeting, Triple C Carvers. And they got a tremendous facility there that they rent, and it was just a great time to be there. My job was to go in and talk to them about wand carving. Well, there's quite a few people that are not interested in wands, but they sat and listened and they carved anyway. But some went right after, so I give some blanks. We give partial cutout of the elder wand. It was a great time together there. Just another picture. Yeah, there's more people. And the guy on the right-hand side is 92. Those are his carvings and wood burnings on the right-hand side there. He's quite a character to meet. Very thorough, very interesting to talk to. Next picture.
Where did you say they met, Marie?
They meet in Sarnia at the Naval Club. They rent the facility there. You can see the dartboards along the wall. That's not something they played with, but that's there. It's typical of any one of the things. The happy gal on the right-hand side is the vice president. She's going to be next year the same thing and involved. You can see wand carving on the right. That picture. It was a great time. The Triple C Carvers are carving, coffee, and conversation. It's a great name for it. Now, the lady on the left-hand side top picture, that's quite a head. She carves that zebra and been actively a carver for a long time. When many shows won and that kind of thing. So these are again from the other fellow, the pictures on the right-hand side. I know there's another picture there coming up.
I think those are the last ones we have of the Triple C.
Okay, we'll go back to the Triple C again. One thing that's interesting for me is that there's been a few of the carvers from the Triple C come up to different shows, like at London and also to Hamilton. They came to some of the ones at the Caledonia. But it seems to be that Windsor, Sarnia, Chatham, that area is in a world of their own. It's a long drive down there. It's 4 hours for us to drive from here. And the interesting part is that they're connected to Detroit's carving community. And also the community of Windsor's got quite a few carvers there too. So that whole lower west part of Ontario and that Michigan part offers tremendous connection with carving. And so it's just been interesting, a real great group of persons. On the left-hand side in that picture, you'll see the president, vice president doing their job. They're conducting the meeting. And it was just a great opportunity. After that, we went to Caledonia and did 4 days there of carving and taking part in the different shows that were at the Hamilton show. And that was also the other comments about that I make when you come up the magazine article. One of the problems was trying to get the pictures in. Caledonia's interesting place. They've got a brand new facility. Actually, it's an older building with been updated and a lot of new things put into it, like a little tiny elevator, one to get up to the next floor. Takes about one stroller, 2 parents and myself in it. And it was an interesting time to be at that show. But we met a lot of people. There wasn't quite enough space for the carvings. But the other thing I must say about that is that because this is the first show after COVID in the Hamilton area, and there was a bundle of carvings. Mark knows about that because he had to do the judging. They were squeezed in very tight, so trying to get good pictures of each one was very difficult. So maybe you want to add something towards the Caledonia show. I haven't got pictures of that, but it was a great time. This next 2 pictures, I think at least 1 or 2 pictures there. And this is a wand carving and a spurtle carving class. One is in the morning on a Saturday morning, one is in the afternoon. And kids are quite involved in it, but not only kids, but adults. And the minute they put it on their website announcing this, it fills right up. You can't get any more people into it. So they had to turn people away. So it's telling us that there is really quite an interest in carving through working with Lang Pioneer Village. And so I'm very thankful for Ruth O'Connell that works with us on that. She does all the special activities, but it also means that I got to give a little bit more time towards my involvement there as a volunteer. Well, most recent was just before Halloween, my son-in-law, who is a funeral director, came and acted out the part of being Dr. Bruce Lindsay, head of the Queen's Medical School in Queen's University. And my job was to be the grave robber. Well, we simply portrayed the actual stories that took place back in 1840 prior to embalming. The Kingston's medical school was very much involved in having people grave rob. They'd follow the funeral to the place where the body was going to be buried, and then that evening go around. 4 guys would come in, take the body out of the casket, leave all the clothes in the casket, and take the naked body in a pickle barrel to the Queen's University. Queens has got quite a history. When you read about this is all documented in the newspapers of Kingston. So we simply acted that part out lying. Now the last picture is the wand shop. You see the wands laying on the table. Well, 2 grade 7 girls, they're totally into it. They're having a fight with the wands and zapping each other. And they had their mom put it on video too. So it was kind of interesting to happen there. Great time, great opportunity. Good. I encourage you that in your community, if you have community pioneer events, that kind of thing, get involved. They look for volunteers. I've just completed my 25th year of doing that at Lang. So I've got a good inroad there to that group of people.
Thank you, Murray. Any questions for Murray? Okay, thanks very much. I'm just going to take 1 additional minute here. I know we're a minute over, but I'll just take 1 additional minute. The thing that I wanted to talk to you about is this little unit. It's made up of a Dremel, which I know a lot of you have a rotary tool, a Dremel, or something similar to it. What I want to talk to you about is this base. And it's a plunge router base, basically. And it allows you to do things like what you see here. So this was a chalice box, a portion of a chalice box that I had made some years ago, but allows you to do all this really intricate stuff. And because it plunges down, you have a lot of control over what you're working on. Particularly useful for relief carvers, rather. but also useful for the little things we add to caricature carving. So you remember this carving that I did some years ago. All of this work here was done with that plunge router. All the little embellishments around these ledges, all of the trim and the chair rail and the baseboard that I did in this was added separately onto this this basswood slab. And I made almost like a little milling template where I moved this stuff through the plunge router. Very, very useful tool. And so I'm going to just show you what that looks like if I can get out of this.
What kind of bit was that, Mark?
Well, you can get all kinds of different bits. And you can get like a Roman OG, a dado bit, a cove bit, all of the things that you'd get in a large router, you can get in this. So you might want to pin this so that you're able to see it. But this is what it looks like. So most of you have the Dremel or a rotary tool like it. The Dremel has this little plastic housing that comes off and exposes the thread. I think you can see that. And this plunge router simply screws on to the Dremel. And so now what you've got is a plunge ability. Let me see if I can orient this correctly for you so you can see it. And now with those springs, I can go down and put my router on whatever I'm working on, plunge into it while it's running, and
Don't start it.
you know, it's not plugged in, believe me, and get a lot of accuracy out of that. So on this unit, it has a little stop here on the side that keeps it at its level that you plunge into. It also has a little depth adjustment on this side that allows you to determine how far you want that thing plunging down at any point in time. And it has a little knob on the end here that allows you to take little kind of almost micro adjustments on it as well. Really good tool. So I don't know what a Dremel is worth anymore. The plunge portion I got at Lee Valley. It's a Veritas design. I paid about $100 for it a few years ago. It's probably around that now. But I raise this up to you because it's one of those things that you don't use that often. But man, when you need it, does it ever work well? I mean, it's all aluminum. It's really high quality unit. Something to think about as you do your own carvings. Any questions on that?
So is that a guide? Does you run like a right next to the blade there? Is that a guide?
It's a flat section for a guide. So you can put down clamp down a piece of wood and just use that guide. Yeah, but Lee Valley sells about 40 different, well, I'm exaggerating, probably half a dozen different attachments that you can use for it too. But if you ever have $100 burning a hole in your pocket, it is a little pricey, but it's a tool that I really enjoy using, and it really does a super accurate job. So something to think about.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, listen,
Dremel
folks.
brand actually sells that stuff too.
Who's that, Roy?
I said there's actually Dremel brand plunge routers and stuff like that as well.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. All right, good. Useful tool. Folks, that was a great hour and a half we spent together. Thanks very much for joining.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And John, you want to put in a last encouraging word about the virtual show in December?
Let's get all our carvings out there, boys and girls. Let's get them in, and let's have some fun.
Yeah, if you could send those to me by December 7th, that'd be great. Just send a few photos, and we'll have some fun at the December meeting.